Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FMtraining.tv. Today we have helping us is Pinball Wizard, Mr. Nick Hunter. Hi, that's Nick. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping here first before we get going too far. I want to remind everyone that today's broadcast is sponsored by FMtraining.tv, where we create awesome video live training courses as well as on-demand video training. A lot of this content is free. However, some of our video training courses are paid, specifically the bundles. We do appreciate your purchase of those and keeping up to date. I will put a discount link in the broadcast stream here, so you can get these for $50 off. We really appreciate you doing that because that helps support the channel, because this isn't free. Doing this isn't free. It just is not. So, thinking about. All right. So you ready today? What are we doing today? We're doing UI consistency.
Yeah, UI consistency. So I'm going to explain the difficulty that we are encountering, all of us. And I'm going to explain that everything that I'm going to explain, it's not a FileMaker problem. This is across the board problem. Java people have the problem. PHP people have the problem. Everybody's people have their, everybody that is dealing with interface that are running in multiple platforms, different devices, different type of operating system, etc., etc. So we have to we have the difficulty that none of those are unified. They try their best using the the Unicode and the ISO and all the things, but still there's differences between platforms at many levels. So sometimes the 100% pixel by pixel consistency between platforms is just impossible. So in that case, we have workaround to to deal with this. So the advantage is we have a good example of how to deal with that with FileMaker, and that's the starter solutions. Unfortunately, they pulled out the starter solution from the product. So if you want to complain about that, feel free to contact FileMaker and complain.
Well, they actually okay. So here's the thing: they actually had some new starter solutions created by another company, and they didn't look horrible, except that they were in the ETS build, and then they pulled that out too. So I'm a little bit perplexed as to. I know, like, for example, for those of you who've been watching us and paying attention to us, when FileMaker 19 came out, they had these add-on modules. There's a whole bunch of add-on modules that do some amazing stuff. They all were pulled out right before ship because they won't work quite right with WebDirect. And Claris is trying to resolve this issue, so it works great on Mac, Windows. It's the stuff from today. Today's conversation is what Claris is wrestling with. So if their engineers are wrestling it with themselves, then we're going to wrestle with it as well, right, Nick?
But yeah, exactly. But that's ways to work around this stuff. So so let me share my screen right now, and let's start showing things.
Yeah, you need to show stuff, Nick.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's another lovely photo.
Yeah, this is my favorite restaurant over there, and So so the problem we have, the first thing I want to show you is that we have functionality problems, and that is to answer the problem we had in the video player for iPhone and iPad. Okay, why is not working on iPad and why is working on Pro? Because we have functionality issues that are not consistent between platform, like between the Mac platform and the iOS platform, for multiple reasons. Most of the time is because of Apple limitations. Apple is restricting a lot of things from apps to do, and they limit the access to resource from the system for many security reasons, performance reasons, battery saving reasons and stuff like that. So sometimes it's Apple said, okay, you cannot do that. You cannot call this API from the system, while Apple gave themselves the right to do, but they mostly refuse from other third-party apps to use, right? So they're on the platform, though they can do whatever they want. So here an example. Here I have a button here, okay? And I have a slide control. See, I have a slide control here. So so everything works fine. So I have slide control here, right? And I have a button here. Okay. So what happened is when I put this object on top of the button, okay, and I go browse mode. If I click here, the button works. Because we call that the click through. We have the click through. And fortunately, this doesn't work on FileMaker Go. On iOS, this doesn't work. So you won't have the same behavior. So if you do tricky things or a little bit advanced feature, if you implement advanced feature like we did in the video player, that's why some stuff stopped working on iPad and was working fine on iOS, on Pro Mac PC, right? So this is one kind of problems that we are encountering. Unfortunately, FileMaker doesn't want to, and I understand that, they don't want to advertise too much about this. So they don't have an exhaustive list of what works and what doesn't in the platform. Nonetheless, they did quite a good job with scripting on FileMaker. So when you want to make sure that your script is going to work fine on all platforms, you use this menu here, right? And then you can have the script steps that are compatible with the platform. So you have some compatible with Macintosh, some compatible with Windows, some compatible. So if you do, for example, what can we do that doesn't work on web? I don't know.
Insert. Well, there's insert from device that won't work.
Insert from device. So if we do that and we say, oh, we want that from a server, is grayed out, doesn't work on server. Export field content won't work too. So this is a great tool to learn what works, what doesn't.
Turn that on there, and you can see it there. That's perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. So that one. So you see here. So if you change the platform, say, okay, what's compatible with Windows that is not compatible with? See, for example, this is not compatible with Windows because this is iOS only. The NFC. See, the NFC, all of those are iOS only. So everything that is insert from device is not compatible. What else? That's it. It's very limited. See, okay, all the AV player is not compatible.
Yeah, those
Apple script.
Yeah, those are Mac specific. iOS and Mac specific.
So this is Mac specific. So if I turn Mac, this become available. But now this is not available anymore because this is PC only, right? See. So this is a good way to know, to see if what you are using is compatible or not cross-platform. And here you have pretty much everything. If you have even the FileMaker API, you have the WebDirect. What is not compatible with WebDirect? See, with WebDirect, you have a lot of things not compatible. So see, close, convert, get the file size. All of those things are not compatible. Arrange everything that window related, and copy org, copy all of the insert from device, insert from index. All of those are not. So that gives you a good a vision of what compatible cross-platform, because this is the main issue to do something consistent across platform is if the feature are working or not. If you click on the button or tap on the button, if the thing with the workflow is going to work or not. So sometimes it's not because, I want to save as Excel, but you don't have this on iOS. That's it. Right? So it's So and people say, it was working fine on my PC. It's not working on iOS. I say, okay, check this. We have the same kind of limitation on the fields. Okay.
Hey, Nick, can you do me a favor? Nick, they can see this right here, so if you could move that out of the way. Maybe there's somewhere. There we go. Thanks. Yeah.
So you have some function that working on Mac PC, but unfortunately we don't have a menu filter. Okay, so you need to rely on the help for that. The help is going to tell you if the what's the name? If the
Yeah, it has a compatibility little chart at the bottom of where it
Yes,
works.
yes. So if you go help,
Yeah,
let
go
me.
to help, and
Okay, go to help.
I'm not seeing that here. Oh, there you go. All right, so
Okay. So if you go to script steps,
like yeah, get
like import,
yeah,
import,
yeah, there you go. Yep, yep.
okay, import,
Import.
import records. It tells you where it works, where it doesn't. At the end, say here, okay,
Yeah, there
and
we
then
go.
it tells you sometimes it's partial, and I know why it says that.
Well,
Um,
okay, so
uh,
Nick, the reason it says partial, sometimes there'll be a checkbox, like in
yes,
import. There's several checkbox options, and some of those will work with Go, but not all of them. So you have to read the fine print very carefully, right?
yes, 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 exactly. So most of the times they explain why it's partial in the help. You see, in Go importing only from Marin, importing the new table. So they explain in the notes most of the time. I know that because I wrote all those texts for the script steps.
Okay.
Okay, so
Uh,
I wrote the examples. I wrote everything for those all the steps, the script steps, not the function. So, but the function also, if you say get layout objects attribute, okay. Also, they tells you where if they don't tell you exactly the platform, but they tell you if you have limitations in FileMaker WebDirect, blah blah. In FileMaker WebDirect this, or it tells you on macOS, on iOS. It tells you the difference. iPad OS. I never heard about iPad OS actually.
actually, okay, so Apple took their operating system, and so when you install it on the iPad, they just because it's really a different build. I guess it's not the same build for them. They have a build for the phone and they have a build for the iPad, and they've actually officially forked those builds out, so they're on
Okay.
separate tracks. I guess. I mean, it doesn't matter because they'll both be like what the current one's what 13.5.1 or 15,
Yeah.
13.15.1. I got a notification on it the other day. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's always changing. It's like
Yeah.
literally it's like rabbits. If those of you who don't know anything about bunnies, Bunny would be happy. She's on YouTube. Happy to tell you that when bunnies get around other bunnies, they make a lot of baby bunnies real fast. Bunnies reproduce like Apple reproduces phones. It's or iPads. It's crazy. So
So in term of speaking about fonts problem, the best way is to learn what we did for the starter solution. Why? Because we sat for hours trying, experimenting all single fonts that could work the best on both platform Mac and PC. And out of our research for the starter solution that must be perfect on both words at the same time, it came out that only 3 fonts are rendering correctly in both words. The first is you can open assets, for example. Let me open here. So, and the first font is Verdana. So, see Verdana. So pretty much here you have all the fonts that we are using in the starter solutions. Verdana, Helvetica Neue, Helvetica and
sorry.
Arial. Those 4 fonts here, but mostly Helvetica Neue and Helvetica, let's consider that as one. But Verdana and Arial are the most, you sure with those 2 fonts that it will render perfectly on both words.
Now, Nick, to be honest, the question here is that one of the biggest issues with Mac and Windows is that you'll say you have like okay, so it normally people see you have this spaced out big like this.
Yes.
That's a trick Nick is doing because he already knows there's a problem. But if you have the word location on Mac and the word location on Windows, frequently it'll be the same height between the two, but the length on Windows will be like longer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to explain that.
Oh, you're getting there? Okay,
Yeah.
so I should
Oh,
not like be bothered. You just see, I'm screwing you up. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. Yeah, I'm going to explain why we had this. That was a limitation we had because, let's say, for example, if I'm opening this file in French, this is why. So this font got localized, and you can see here due dates in English became date d'échéance in French. And also here, see, they did that in the localization of the file because this is days till due. This is what that means. It needs two lines here because it was too small to show. See, it was too small. So we had limitations because the file was getting localized and they want the minimum of rework. That's why we kept this possibility to have two lines in one, for one here, right? So that's why.
And that's a terminology thing for those of you who are kind of new. I mean, some of us have been around so long that we just kind of think about this. But the term localization is basically where FileMaker decides that they're going to support 7 or 8 languages around the world. Obviously, Claris is Apple, Apple's Claris, and they're primarily a English first company. So then they do is they take the tools that they build and they adapt to these other languages. That process of adapting their tools to other languages is what they call the localization process. So I know everyone knows that, but if I have 12 people here that don't know it, now you know that terminology. So
yeah. So the problem of the font on between Mac and PC is that is the rendering engine. So let me explain. Each platform has a rendering engine, fonts, everything that is vectorized kind of objects, like a vectorized object. It's this, we call that a glyph. Let's say you have a button here. See, it's a small button here, but you see small, but you can get it much bigger. See. He redraw the object bigger and bigger and bigger. This is vector kind of objects. They are rendered by coordinates. The computer is rendering with coordinates. A photo or an object that is not a glyph like this. Let me show. Documents and PNG. I have plenty here examples of PNGs. Download. Sorry. Okay, you have it. Okay, no, it's okay.
You got it because I do have a comment over here that.
Yeah. So yes, if you have this object here and you stretch it, it starts to pixelize.
Yes. Because it's pretty low resolution.
Yeah, because it's not meant to be, because this is a bitmap. We call bitmap is ... It's like you draw it with a pen. Okay, this is not. This is the computer. We say, okay, there's a circle here full of white, and from this coordinate to this coordinate to this coordinate, this coordinate, it's empty. Right. Yep. So this is how the computer is rendering this. So the computer is going to render this as big as you want, but this is not doing it. So that's why when you use and this is way faster to render than this. This is all style. This is bitmap, all style. And I don't know if you noticed, but Apple is FileMaker got rid of all the bitmap icons. Let me show you, because they pose this problem. So for example, when you have whatever I can open, let me open a status solution with this one, with the old FileMaker. Okay, if you have this here, okay, and if you go layout, you see those are bitmaps. Those are all icons that were coming from Classic. Okay, so
is this 18? Is this 18?
This is 18.
Yeah. Okay.
In 19, they changed by, okay, they get rid of everything, but I know they got rid of those. Where I had an example of here, I think, yeah, here. See, they got rid of the old style bitmap icons here. And that for the same reason we use them in FileMaker, is for consistency through platform and make sure that everything works well. and it takes less time, less resources to draw this. So this is for the clip, but for the text you write on something, Rick, and I want to follow that. Let's say you have a text like that. Well, we are not talking about fields. We are talking about text. Okay, text, like text, right? You type this, text. Okay. Let's say you have a text that fits perfectly this, okay, and you want to render in Windows this. Most of the time, what happened is this. It happened that this got like this. See, the value disappears because the font engine on PC doesn't react the same way the font engine will render on Mac, and the font engine on iOS doesn't render on the same way neither. And where your ravioli start to explode here is within applications like Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word on Mac has its own font rendering engine.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that pushed even further because people say, oh yeah, on my Word it was looking something in one way, and now in FileMaker it doesn't render the same way. And no, it doesn't. Like if you copy a text from Word and you paste in a field in FileMaker, it doesn't render the same way. It doesn't. You have a spacing differences, slight differences. I'm not saying big, but slight differences. Most of the time, the font doesn't appear as fat as it appears on Word. Word the tendency of Word is to fatten a little bit the font. Why? Because this is not. It's typewriting kind of computer software. So they wanted to keep the same kind of behavior as a typewriter, not a composer, kind of a page composer software like Page or Express, for example. See the difference here? Okay, so that's why Word has its own font rendering engine. So when you know that, you understand that you need to know those things, and you need to experiment those things. What we know that when you have a Mac PC kind of compatibility, put a little bit more space like that on those always.
Yes, yeah. That's that. If you learn one thing today, for those of you who are not advanced developer, if you learn one thing, make the space a little bigger. It doesn't hurt anything. On Windows, the Windows will spread it out a little bit. We'll use the space. If you don't make it bigger, on Windows, it will literally chop off letters. It will look chopped off. Yeah.
And after that, I've learned a lot from my time at FileMaker when I started working on the starter solution. So, and that's why I'm getting away most of the time now from the design and actually Apple, FileMaker even came to the same conclusion, and I want to show you something here. So I came out from the design. See here, I have now the label on top of the field, not on. Why? It's because when you want to repurpose something, it's easier to copy this, right? See here. Let's say you want a new layout, right? And you want to paste that in a new layout, for example, and you want to repurpose this. It's easier to do that if the name is blah 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 blah. It's easier to repurpose this instead of having the label on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, absolutely,
it just helps a lot to repurpose. That's what and FileMaker actually followed that instinct themselves, because not only now FileMaker can just drag and drop in order. Yeah, but this is a bad example here because this is my let's change to the enlightenment. So let's remove this. Not only FileMaker can do this, see, they put the label on the left, but here you have an option for the labels to put the label on top of it. So now FileMaker is doing that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So, and also, if you don't want the label, FileMaker can do that for you as well.
All right. So
he puts the label inside the file, the fields, right?
Yep.
And then now you have this. You have the name of the field inside of the field itself, which is sometimes is very useful.
Can be very useful. All right, so I need to take a quick timeout here, and because we have some comments and questions that are going on, and so Nick, if you want to, I'm showing myself a little bit. I'm still seeing your screen here. So, a couple comments here, and these are important things that we kind of went whizzing by. First off, is that basically between Mac and Windows, if you're kind of a new developer, the little differences won't bother you. Okay, you won't even probably notice them unless a word's chopped off. Nick is the kind of guy that if a pixel is if something is off by 1 pixel, he starts to vibrate and get excited. And so it depends upon if you're just learning this. Like if it's a bunny conversation, maybe it's less concerning. For Bunny, if it doesn't work at all, that's a concern. If it looks slightly different, does she really care? Probably not, because she's learning the FileMaker platform. It depends on the level of polish, right? Like the video player that we're going to be talking about tomorrow, the polish layer is much more important, so we're much more concerned about this. If we're building an internal system for our team and the font is slightly different on a spot between Mac and Windows, we don't care. As a general rule, you can combine your Mac and Windows layouts into one layout. The idea is, of course, you could, without a doubt, build a layout for every platform. You could build a layout for Mac, a layout for Windows, a layout for iPad, a layout for iPhone, a layout for Android on Chrome, Android on Safari, Android on mobile Safari, mobile Chrome, Edge. You could have 8 or 9, 10 different layouts real easy. I think for the most part, we're able to combine them down to mostly about 3, at least the starting point. We do a mouse layout, which we assume that the Mac and Windows folks will use, and we tested on that. That's a big part of this. Here's a huge clue. So I'm going to take my camera here. I'm going to move it around a little bit. So your desk, if you're building software, okay, I'm going to move this over here so you can see. Back up a little bit. So this is my broadcast machine here. If I was building on the Mac over here, then over here where I'm normally communicating with everyone and answering questions and stuff, what I would do is I would say this should be Windows over here, so you can test on Mac here, right? Mac here. Windows here, you have your iPad down here on your desk, or your iPhone. That's important stuff that you want to think about doing, because then you can test in real time, so you don't get to the end of the project and you're delivering it to the customer and they put it on Windows, or they take it to whatever you're not, right? Whatever you didn't test it on, and they go, we paid you all this money and now it sucks because you're a horrible person, you didn't test it. And you'll feel really bad. So if you test it while you go. Another thing, if you have Mac and Windows on your computer or your platforms, as you're doing security, you do security on one side, you test it on the other, so you don't have to be logging in and out all the time. So 2 machines set up. I have some engineers when they're brand new and they're like, I'll just use one machine. In fact, some of them are probably here hiding out watching the broadcast. And I'm talking about them. They'll say, I only need 1 computer. I'm like, okay, when I have a developer tell me they only need 1 computer and they can only use 1 computer, I know that they have not progressed in their learning and their development, and they haven't got to the point where A, they're testing their stuff, and also then dealing with security in a real sort of way. And so that's kind of you get to the point where you're a senior developer. A good senior developer can keep generally about 3 different computers going. If he's really busy working on projects, he'll be doing an import for customer on one machine. He'll be testing security on another machine, and a third machine he'll be writing emails and telling people, giving them updates about where their projects and statuses and things are. So it's easy for me to keep 3 machines busy. So once again, Nick right here is going to talk about layouts that are tuned, right? You want to pick up that conversation, Nick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think we can assume that you can get the same layout for Mac and PC. I mean, to be honest, FileMaker walked a lot on the differences, and mostly because FileMaker. So what you need to know with FileMaker 17, FileMaker completely rebuilt the Windows build of FileMaker. I mean, they changed technology. They were using a Windows 95 technology, and they switched to .NET technology, so that the core foundation of the rendering system in Windows. So they not under based on the 286 kind of or whatever Windows 3.0 and the Windows 95 kind of techniques, where I don't know if you remember before 17, but on Windows, FileMaker had its own desktop. Remember that? FileMaker has its own encapsulated window, the own desktop, and then you have Windows inside this desktop, and you couldn't get out. With FileMaker 17, the rendering engine got completely rebuilt in FileMaker. So now we have kind of very, very close to the perfection between both. The only problem remains that the font, and that is not something FileMaker is responsible to. Something else that you need to understand about the font. You will have, for example, let's say you have a WebDirect, layout, and you say, okay, on Mac it works perfectly well, and on PC it works perfectly well. And then somebody said, yeah, but not on my PC. Oh yeah, because I'm still on Vista. And I'm using IE on Vista. Okay, yeah, IE has a poor rendering anyway on anything. So and then you say, okay, yeah, I'm using Firefox. Oh, okay, yeah, but I'm using the Windows 7 Firefox version. Oh, okay, and that the render is poor. And then the same on all the platforms. Some people they have the Chromebook, it doesn't render the same way. So what's the name? You won't control the other side. You won't control it. So the best way you can do is to be aware about the problem and tell you people, say, okay, sorry, but you need to upgrade. Okay, so or you need to change your browser for that reason. But that is not specific to FileMaker. That is for every kind of website. So for the building of layouts, we can assume that we can say this is desktop, PC, and Mac, okay? But for iPhone and tablet, okay, you can't have the same design. So it's not possible.
Okay. Well, you can. It's just gonna.
No, it's okay.
You can, but then it looks really stupid on the iPad, or on the iPad. But if you tune it for the iPad, then you have stuff smashed together on the phone, right?
Yeah. It's not usable. It's openable, but it's not usable. So here, for example,
wait, stop. What did you just say? You said it's obtainable but not usable.
It's openable. You can open it, but you cannot.
Oh, it's openable. Got it.
Okay,
you slaughtered that word bad enough. I didn't know what you said. All right, that's fine.
So I just want to explain why. Is because but hold on. That's something another webinar we can do. How to make a solution to work fine on iPad and iPhone with very little rework. And this,
in order for you to do that, you have to get Scott's work done first. So
I know.
So you're trying okay. So in the background, I can hear Scott screaming, "Nathan or Nick, you have to do my work for me," right? So,
I know. It's that. Yeah, but what? That is something for September, October, and that is very interesting, because you see, for example, here, this layout here is for Mac or desktop, right? And this layout here is for tablets, and this layout here is for iPhone. Okay, so you see here it's very similar. Those two, iPhone, iPad, very similar. So what's the name? You can't pretend. Okay, you can't pretend to use this layout in the real estate for that layout. It's not possible. Okay, we have to be honest with ourselves. Even though now the iPhone are bigger, Okay, so this is the iPhone of today. So obviously you cannot use that. You cannot use that. What's the name? Layout into this real estate. It's not possible. So you need to have a different layout, structure, and organization. Okay, that is something we can do a video on this. It's not that difficult. It sounds difficult, but it's not. Obviously, in the starter solution, we did a great like that, especially in invoices. You have because we for invoices at the time we want to have 100% everything the same on desktop, iPad, and iPhone, and WebDirect 100%.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and continue the conversation. And Tim brought up a good point. And so this is Tim on, I guess, Nelson. So Tim is saying, well, Nick, in the energy sample file you built for Mac, it's the same set of layouts that work on Mac and iPad. Any thoughts on that?
Yes.
And let me give you my thought, and then I'll let you have. My thought will probably be the wrong one, right? Because Nick will shoot me down and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's useful. So here's my thing. If you have to focus on one or the other, right? And so if you're the difference between okay, let's forget the 27-inch screens and stuff or whatever. Let's talk about a laptop, a 13, 15-inch laptop, and you could conceptually have a screen that you could share between that and an iPad. So the question is, are you going to tune the interface for your finger or for a mouse? And that's really the consideration. How big will the buttons be? How big will the fields be? If you make it so it works on the least common denominator, or the most common denominator, I should say, you're going to make it work on iPad. Because if it works on iPad, it will work on the laptop. It's just a little bit bigger than you might expect otherwise for a desktop specific app. So you can do it, but somewhere either the buttons will be a little too big on the Mac or Windows laptop, or they'll be too small to actual finger on the iPad, right? So Nick, you want to talk about this? Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right on this. So the energy UI sample was.
I'm right. I like it when I'm right. Okay, really good. He's really good. Every time you go to Nick's school and then Nick gives you your grade, and I get an A. I'm so happy.
You have an A. And the energy. It's a good point actually. Who is the name? Who pointed that?
This is Tim Nelson. Tim Nelson.
Okay, Tim. Okay, so that's a good point. Energy. This file here has been built that way. And it's true that you can have both file. You can have one layout that demonstrates for both platform. So PC, Mac PC and iPad, not iPhone. Okay. So here you have one layout here. Okay. And for Mac and for desktop and iPhone, iPad, the same layout. Okay. But you have to accept some limitations. That means it's a trade-off. So pretty much here my catch on this. If you build a layout for iPad, it will work on desktop. Not the other way around. Or a layout built for for desktop won't work for iPad. But if you build for iPad, it will work for desktop. So let me explain. So this here, you see this, those rows here, they are thick enough for the touch. This date
you said thick enough for touch.
Thick. Yeah, thick.
I'm going to enunciate for you. Thick, as in fat enough for touch. Yes.
Yeah,
there we
big.
Go. Right.
Again, this here, you see the dates here. They have a kind of iPad-like demonstration here. It's not like the date like we have on Mac. So because on iPad, when you click here, you get on iPad, you get the nice calendar of the iPad calendar with the rolling, the rolling numbers and rolling month and stuff like that, right? So that's why I designed that way. You can't type a date here. So that's what I was saying. It's a limitation between the iPad and the desktop. Desktop, you can enter a date, typing the date, 07/09 2020. You can type this, but if you want to do that on an iPad, it's a pain in the neck. So on iPad, we want this, okay? We want the touch thingy. So that's why this file has been built for iPad. and it looks great and works great on desktop. That's why you have the big fat button here. You have lists like that, big lists here like that. See, you have big things. Everything's big enough, and the text is big enough, and those, see, they are fat enough. Those are rows here. They are fat enough for the touch. That's why it's built that way. Okay. So yes, you can. So what's the name? The thing is built for iPad, and it will work for desktop.
All right, so you're good there. You killed that one, Nick. David just asked a question. I'll let Nick answer this one first, then I will grade his answer on this one. So David on Twitch wants to know, he wants to know, what is the recommended resolution for a Mac PC to work a layout? So I'm assuming not so much what size of computer, but what size of layout, your layout dimension. So if I went here and I went like how high this way and then how high this way.
Yeah.
And
okay. So I like to work with. I have a preferred size, which is.
Here we go.
728. Okay, and 1419 weight. So because this is
you gotta go to browse mode, dude. There you go.
This is a 15-inch laptop kind of.
You dog. Okay, so I was going to answer the question the same way. What I do is you have to figure out the most common. Back in the old days, and I'm dating myself, but some of you here are older than I am, so you know what I'm talking about. Back in the old days, it used to be like, hey, you've got a 15-inch CRT monitor. I mean, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. And then if you had a lot of money, and if you had a lot of money, you had a 17-inch CRT. And then I remember the day I got two 17s, and I was styling. And then they started getting bigger ones, and then they came out with LCDs and LEDs and all this. So I think you have to look at between a 13-inch laptop and a 15-inch laptop and see what your target audience is using. Nick just gave the dimensions. What was that for this one again, Nick? It's the you want to repeat that?
It's 1419 720.
1419 by 720. I'm just going to type that out, and that's for Mac Windows users with the 15-inch laptop, approximately, right? So
and you have the possibility to have the toolbar and the dock. See?
Yeah, because on Windows you've got that little bar down there, right? So yeah.
So you have the dock, and you have the bar, the menu bar on top, the menu, and you have the toolbar of FileMaker. And you have this, and you're okay, right? If you have this like that, you're okay. See, you can work comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I choose this size, and that's why also now you understand why we had the discussion, why I moved the navigation from from a top navigation, right? That's why I removed the top navigation, because see how wide it is, and I put the navigation to be vertical instead of
okay, so that's another good point. I mean, we could spend another 2 or 3 hours on this. So I think it's getting your head wrapped around it. And so in Nick's case, for those of you familiar with this, Nick has this Launchpad file that's part of the Lean Design course. We've talked about that ad nauseum. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Launchpad file, I will put the link here where you can go find it. But he does his nav from the left side over here. I've never done nav from the left side. My brain works laterally. I work like across. For me, it's hierarchical, like, the most widest item here, and then you start to drill down, and then for me, it's a vertical down the page thing. Nick is doing this left to, here's the launch pad right here. And so it's different than starting point. And I don't even know really. Well, then you still do some of it across the top here a little bit, right? So
but this is not a navigation. So that's why I have 2 levels of navigation. I have the main navigation here. I don't know why it's doing this, by the way. And then I have the internal navigation. That means I don't have this on top of me all the time, because we have a much wider screen than high. So that the height is smaller. So if you start having this, plus you need to pull down everything down because you have your navigation on top. So that means everything crashed, blah blah blah, and you see, so we cannot do that anymore. I mean, if you look all the trend on because there's other thing that I want to show you before we go, right? But I'm following the design trend and the design guidelines of the new, because the design is moving all the time. It's not something static. If you look what we were doing in 1980s with the first Mac and the first graphical interface, and now it's completely different. So the design evolved across the age, and it's keep going. It's keep evolving, right? So I keep following, and I try to embrace the latest to keep myself modern. So the trend here is, and this is kind of for a natural navigation system where you have on the left, and if you open a Mac, see, you have on the left navigation is on the left. You have some action here, but you have this is on the left, and so it's a trend, right? And it's a preference. And as I said, on the left here, I can use a portal as a navigation instead of a static button kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that was
Yep. Okay, so we got a couple comments here and good questions. Once again, we could spend a lot of time on this, and we could spend a little bit more if you want. I got two comments here. One is Canberra 57. I can't remember. He's Albuquerque, I think. Is a significant difference size. What is there a significant file size difference between iOS and desktop versions of what of your file?
No, it's the same.
It's the same, right? I mean, a FileMaker file is binary compatible. So the term for that is binary compatible. So that means that when you create an FMP12 file, you move it from Mac to Windows to iOS to cloud, which is typically Linux.
Yeah. It's
the same file. It's exactly the same file.
Yeah. If you download FM Launchpad, I have a pretty good custom function. You type bytes. Oh.
That one's really good. I've used that. That's a really great function.
And you have the internal file. So pretty much what I'm doing on my customers, I have a splash screen at the beginning. I have the login screen at the beginning, and like this one. And here what I'm doing. So you have a login screen, utilities, login, and I have a get info button here. And this get info button gives you information about where the server version, the size of the file, and stuff like that. So that gives you kind of, if there's a failure somewhere, or your customer says, hey, it doesn't work anymore, or I have a problem here, I can log, okay. Then it said, oh, how big is your file? Oh, it says 200 TB, for example. Okay, you have a big problem, right? So the custom function is here in the manage custom function in the bytes. You don't need to understand what's going on here. So this is exactly what you need to calculate to have a byte by byte the right result, to convert bytes into octets. So I mean, to convert octet into bytes. Let's say. See. So anyway, so this is what. But for to continue, if you can continue a little bit on the font, I want to explain things here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's say I have a text here. Okay, this is made on PC. I'm using a font. Here. Okay, I'm using a font, and this font doesn't exist on the Mac, for example. So here, what FileMaker is going to do is going to do this, bam. So it's going to change the text into Helvetica automatically. So this was from a Lucida console, what I don't have on the Mac, but PC has, and Word has on Mac, but not the system. See, that's why Word has its own rendering, text rendering. So FileMaker will change that into Helvetica. So here the catch in this. Here you see here, you think that the same. It looks the same, right? But it's not the same. See here, the space I have, let me zoom in. See the space I have here between here, the padding here? And let's see the padding here. See the difference?
Yeah, that one's centered, top one's centered, the bottom one's not. Vertically centered, yeah.
Yeah, vertically not centered. And if I show ruler. So if I align this exactly the same way, you can see that's a different. The L, the V, and see the H is wider, a little bit wider, or something wrong here, because the L is not. See, the L is not really the same. Can zoom in a little. No, I cannot zoom in.
Is it the
see what I mean?
Is it the E is narrower? Move it over to take a look at the. I know, but what's causing it? I mean, it's already the problem by the time you get to the L.
Yeah, it's
okay. And then move it to the other side of that. No, yeah, that was part of it. It was right there at the bottom. It was cut. Yeah.
So you see that's the difference. So why is that the difference? Because this font here, it's Helvetica now, and this font here is Helvetica. But you can see by default you have kind of an extra. So Helvetica has this problem of being on top, of being misaligned. The baseline, let's say, the baseline, we call that the baseline. The baseline is, I don't know how we can show the baseline. The baseline is, what's the name? Higher than, and that is because I'm doing kind of some teaching here. It's because of this is the origin. The origin of Helvetica is this. This is the original Helvetica. It was those panels where you could pin letters like that on the felt pad like that. So that was, and the guy who invented that is a Swiss guy. That's what they call Helvetica, which is the name of Switzerland. Okay, Helvetian Republic. That's the name of the Swiss doesn't exist. Is the Helvetian Republic, Federation, Helvetian Federation. That's the real name of the country. So that's why. So since then, since the beginning, that's why they came with the Helvetica now So the point is, let's say you say, oh, Helvetica is a little bit higher. I'm doing this. See? Because, it's too high. So why, see? And then you run that on PC. PC doesn't like it. And then, let's say, change the font. So, and then he's going to keep that. He's going to cut it, right? So that's why you need to be careful to make sure that you have the same, a little bit more 8 here. But okay, long story short, stay away from Helvetica.
You should have saved us the hassle of this explanation. So in 1912, the Swiss were not part of World War I, but then there was this other thing that happened, and this guy married this gal, and then they didn't want to call it Swiss, it was Helvetica, but then this other thing happened, and then the dog died in a tragic car crash, so don't use Helvetica. You could have said that, Nick.
No, because I want the people to understand why, and I want the people to understand what it's. We call that education. Sorry.
No, we don't. No. Just do it. Don't use it. Take Nick's word for it.
Okay.
He's brilliant.
The problem is, I'm saying stay away from Helvetica, and FileMaker use Helvetica as a default, and that's the problem. So, but I'm sorry, but that's the problem. And why they use Helvetica as a default? Because Helvetica is the most common. But you will have problem with Helvetica. That's why on the starter solution, you have very few fonts with Helvetica. Very few. I think products.
Well, hey, what were the three? So David was late to the party here. He wanted to know the three fonts again were Verdana, Helvetica, New, and
Verdana, Verdana Arial. If you want to be 100% sure and at peace at night with the fonts, use Arial. That's it.
Okay.
Arial. See, this one use Arial. Research Note, which is one of the oldest, is use Arials as well. Oh, Verdana. See, we use a lot of Verdana. Like for example, event management, which is one of the most modern too. I think we use Arial here. Arial. See, we never use Helvetica. We have one using Helvetica. I think is a meeting. No, not meeting. Is Verdana. Contact, maybe contact.
All right, so we were taking a survey here. Half the people love history, the other half don't love history. So,
yeah. So here, Anyway, it doesn't care. Helvetica now here. See, for contact we use. So on none of the starter solutions of the 16 file we are using Helvetica. So that tells you something.
So don't use Helvetica.
Yeah, don't use it. Don't use it. That's it. Then you have something that I'm going to give you some websites that are interesting here.
Go ahead and do that, because then we do have a question about hamburger menus at the end. So we'll do that.
Yeah. So here we have for iOS. That makes the thing a little bit more hairy on iOS. This website is kind of cool because you have a kind of an overview, and you can learn with the Apple platform about how Apple is using fonts.
All right.
You have sets of fonts that you can download as well, and you can learn about many things.
What's the link? Can you click on that at the top again? Because you're hiding it. Developer.apple.com/fonts. All right. Let me type that in over here. Let me see if that works. It does. Okay, great. I'm going to paste that everywhere for everyone.
Yes. Yeah. So you can see overview, and you have system fonts here. So this is very important. That saved my bleep many times. Here the problem with iOS and the system in general. You have the pre-installed fonts, document fonts, and downloadable fonts. Okay, so pre-installed font is pretty much the font that you have in the system in Catalina and iOS 13. So this one is iOS 13, not on Catalina, and that you have in Catalina, not in iOS 13. So you need to check the font that has both. Why? Because when you build something for iOS, you are building on a Mac. You're not building on iOS. So if you have a font, if you want to use a font only available on iOS, you won't be able to build the layout. You won't be able to use it anyway, because you won't be able to go to FileMaker, select this, and say, I want this font, because it's not available. So you need to focus only on the fonts that are available in Catalina and in iOS. Because if you use this one in Catalina, it's not available on iOS 13. So it will work on your Mac, but it won't work on your iOS device. So you need to focus on those two. Now, what will shake your ravioli is that we don't have access to all pre-installed font in iOS, because we are not a native Xcode application. You are not building an application. You are building a file that is run within an iOS application that's called FileMaker Go. So you have access only to the fonts that are attached to a document. So you have only access to those fonts that we call documents here. So that's why this website is very useful. This is a font you have pre-installed. This is a font you can use on iOS because FileMaker Go won't display other fonts than those. So you click here, and then you have the document fonts, and the list is quite different. Okay, it's much more limited. So that's the first website that is interesting for you. The other website that I have for you, because I did my homework.
Ooh, all right. By the way, no one has bought the subscription, just so you know. So your tips jar, Nick, is looking really thin. So I just don't know what to tell you. I guess they don't value what you do for them.
Too bad.
I still love you, Nick, even if no one else does.
Yeah.
So, all right.
That's another website. You know.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. Okay, look, you're hiding the full link at the top. How do we get that link? What is that one?
Yeah, it's okay. List of. I can. Okay. Let me type it into your.
Slack it to me. Slack it to me, please, and I will populate that.
Where's the Slack? I can't. This software.
I could probably do it. Did you find it?
No, it's okay. It's here. So this is going to tell you all the fonts available for each platform. 2000, Windows 10, Windows 98, Windows XP, Vista 2000, and everything. So when you develop and you say, okay, I have a Windows 10, okay, and so now you see Verdana. There's Verdana here. Verdana is kind of old 95. See, now Windows 95. So that's what we use that a lot. So you have and then you have another website that is very interesting for you, that I'll use a lot when I'm building things, is this one. This one is great. So this one is the default fonts in desktop and mobile operating system. So for example, you want to know the default font for Mac OS. So the system font, the font that is used on the system. So they change with El Capitan, they change to San Francisco, and then they change. Yosemite was Helvetica No. See, even Apple use Helvetica No and not Helvetica. Lucida Grande. So you can use Helvetica No, by the way. When I say stay away from Helvetica, I was saying about Helvetica, but you can use Helvetica No. Sorry for the confusion. I mean,
okay. Well, you totally screwed up Tim and Jesse and Fred over here. So Tim, Jesse, and Fred, and whoever else, you can use Helvetica New.
No, I said
not the regular. Yeah.
Stay away from Helvetica, but Helvetica No, you can use it.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right.
It's two different fonts. Okay, so this is what this. Okay, and this one is kind of cool because let's say you want the default fonts installed in Mojave, for example. It's not updated for El Capitan, but I think it will come. It will come soon. So you want to know the fonts for Mojave. You go here and you have all the font installed with Mojave. So this website is kind of cool because actually it's an Apple support website. So, but this one no. But it referred to the Apple support. So, and you have for mobile operating system for everything, Android, Windows 7, iOS, Unix, and everything. This website is kind of cool. I love it. So let me text you this too. There's another one that I like to. This list here is kind of cool, but it can confuse you a little bit. But a little bit is the common font from Windows and Mac. So it's kind of very so Arial, Helvetica, because Arial it's a clone of Helvetica. So that's why on PC they use Arial. This one is not available on Mac, so it's kind of hairy, but I don't want to share it because it helps if you know what you're doing. So okay. I don't want to confuse people even more.
Okay, we do. I'm gonna. Are those all your sample sites you want to throw out there for us?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to your your Launchpad file, and we do have one of our people here, Michael Johnson, I believe, had a question for us on the Twitch side, and Michael M Johnson 24. If you can get logged in. Basically what he's talking about is, well, why not necessarily use, I have an answer for this, but I'll let Nick go at it. Why not use a hamburger menu right here instead? So you don't don't waste the space, right? You don't, it only pops this up when you. And for those of you who don't know what this is, let me just the hamburger menu is kind of this thing that's been around. Let me pop this up real quick on my side. Actually, let me go ahead. No, I don't need that. Let me see. Let me go back to FileMaker. There's a 19. Of course, I can't see this. Move that out of the way. FileMaker 19. We have a hamburger menu up here. So we're really at a premium for space. And so we built this. It's very ugly with ugly colors, but it allows us to bring up any video course that we're producing. These are the current ones that we've either produced or going out the door. And then these are all the legacy ones, right? And all these will be in that video player. So this is a hamburger. This is what he's talking about. Obviously doing it much prettier than this. But if I wanted to go to live streams, for example, I click live streams, and then it pops it, and then we can see all that, right? And then we're in the live stream videos here. You can't see it, but that's that kind of really ugly. If you saw it, Nick, you'd vomit right now. So it's probably better you didn't see it. So
okay, yeah. So I can answer this question quickly. Okay.
Sure.
So you have to weight costs versus benefits.
okay.
Always. In everything you do, that is a developer kind of advice that I give to everybody. You have to weight cost versus benefits. So here, this it's 70 point wide. So if you have a layout where you are desperate to the point that you need those 70 points, that means you have a problem in your design. So because 70 points out of 1419, you understand that this is negligible, the impact. So now what you will say, you say, okay, to include maybe all of this in the burger, okay? In that case, you lose the point of the master details. Okay, so because the point is to have access to the record all the time. So if each time you have to click a button and click and then click a button and then click and then click a button and then click and click a button. So if you have this to do, I mean, it's not only that, but the implementation of this slide, things sliding like that, the implementation of this is kind of complicated because you need to land. Okay, the explanation is too long, but it's not that easy to implement. And you're going to add a lot of extra work in each of your layout for no reason. For the benefit is minimum, and the cost in terms of construction is high, right? And you lose the benefit of this kind of vision where you can, navigate and click here, search. If each time you want to search, you need to click on the button and type search what you want to search. It's kind of I don't know. I don't think that's something that's benefits here. Okay. In the case where you're showing did you show the video course?
Yeah, because
okay.
So I didn't show that video course, but Tim Nelson just pointed this out, and he goes, "Well, you're doing it with the video course." I said, "But here's the thing with the video course," and I just typed this out. So it's good that we're mentioning this, is that people select the video course, and then they're going to most people are going to select the Pro 19 or Pro 2020 video course. They're going to stay there for a while. That's 70 hours of video. Yeah. If it was a CRM, like a bid manager business, you'd be on invoices, contact, invoices, estimates. No, the guy, a phone call. Where's my order? Shit, go to project, bounce around. And so you're going to be constantly binging on that hamburger menu, whereas maybe you need it less often. You don't need it. The other thing to think about purposes, if it, understand that when people see a hamburger menu and they're brand new, they're not going to just necessarily click it. When things are exposed right here, if I go back and make you full screen again, you're actually exposing these items without anyone clicking up here. They know these items are waiting for them, right? If you have to get the hamburger menu, it's not
intuitive.
It's intuitive. Yeah, intuitive, right? Is that what you're saying? Intuitive?
Yeah.
You're hiding items that people have to kind of dig to find. For example, I have an engineer who I'm not going to name, who we call him Turds as his nickname, because he's like a cat, and he goes into the cat litter box and he leaves little surprises underneath the cat. It's a running joke, but it's like you have a litter box, the cat goes to the bathroom and then piles it up, and it's hiding under there. That's what a hamburger menu can become a litter box because you don't know what's in there unless you click on it, and then you find all the little surprises, right? And so that's kind of the idea with that. This right here, this is a hamburger menu. But how often, once you really go into, say, you actually go into the course, you're going to learn this. Of course, Nick hasn't bought it. What the hell's wrong with you, Nick? If he buys it, then you would come in here, and then you would stay in here and just watch these videos because there's like 70 hours of videos in here. So anyway, once again, it depends on how much navigating you're going to be doing, and that's how we handle that.
And not only that, but just to explain, you see, to have this effect of coming from the left and then disappearing from the right, you need to land to the slide number 2. You cannot land in the slide number 1. Okay, yeah. So it's kind of a little bit complicated. And as you said, imagine that you need to click here to go to the next video. Instead of doing this. Imagine that you need to click here, go to the video, click here, go to the video, etc., etc., etc. Right? So as you said, here is relevant, but here I'm not sure. On this one here, I'm not sure it is. Anyway, it's a matter of preference. But here you have a lot of interaction. What you want them to be available to you. Here, see, you have the menu here, and user here. You have all the users. There's a lot of things going on. I think that's a bug with here with 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay. So anyway,
yeah. So that's. I mean, we're covering a lot of good conversation. There's a lot here to digest, and a lot of great content. We're going to post all this. Once again, a reminder, Nick. I'm kind of like slowly landing the plane. We're on a 5-mile final for landing here. But yeah, so basically, the lean design. So someone know where the lean design page is at. I'm going to kind of, I'm going to minimize this briefly, right? Well, actually, I'm just going to minimize Nick down for the moment. So once again, this is our internal system here. We decided it was easier for us to select this. This is very ugly. The issue with the sliding was a pain in the rear end because I wanted this navigation to be on the hamburger menu. I wanted to set it up once and have it work on all these different layouts. And if it's a slide, like you're sliding in and out, well, if you're doing a professional product, okay, like the video player, then you're going to make the effort on this. But this, I've got all these layouts in here. If I click over here, you'll see this. I have all these layouts. These are all the layouts for the videos courses for the years, right? And then maintenance layouts, things like that. I'd have to go in and build that whole sliding apparatus into each layout. So this is actually my hamburger menu is a card style window that simply, instead of being it centered over here in the middle like a card, I jam it all the way to the left side. It doesn't animate on and off, which is the downside. But the upside is that for me to maintain this, all I have to do is go to the one layout where we have the whatever the card style poppy uppy thing is. I don't even know where it's at. Is it up here somewhere? It should be something about navigation, blah, blah, blah. It's not that one, I don't think. I don't even know where it's at. Navigating notes, credentials, video ideas. Oh, right here, vertical card nav. So all I have to do is maintain this layout. And then because we call that from a script, we don't have to do it everywhere, right? So we maintain it here. So if I add a new course, say we add a course on how to to use FileMaker to import kilos of cocaine and heroin, right? We have a course on that, which would be super popular. In fact, Nick, they'd already have you a new laptop today if we were doing that. So anyway, then I edit it here, one place, and then it goes everywhere. So that's kind of the idea with that, if that makes sense. So that's the way we did it. Once again, internal stuff as opposed to what you're going to turn loose on the public. And these buttons are ugly. These are like 1999 FileMaker buttons or whatever, but it works just fine for that. Other questions? Learn hamburger menus, more clicks. You don't know where you are. Yeah, but sometimes hamburger menu is good, right? That's the idea with that. So they can't, in this case, they're really great because before I had navigation all the way across the bottom. And then every time we added a new course, we had to change the navigation on every layout, right? So now I have navigation that pops up in one place on the side. I guess you could do a card style window went all the way across the bottom and pop it that way. Same kind of effect, but for me, vertical is better. But it's getting to the point where it only works on a 27-inch monitor because I have so many courses here. So
knowing that the technique you use with the card style, this is something I use a lot on the for the hamburger.
Yes.
on iPad versus the slide, because on iPad and iPhone, on iOS in general, those Carl style window can slide.
Wow, they do. Okay.
Yeah. So you have a nice effect when you have our iOS, and so that's why I'm using iPad for that.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I used it just for ease of maintenance, because part of what you want to do is not do unnecessary maintenance. Like if you have a maintenance intensive, whether you have cars, if you have a car that's like, for example, a Jaguar or an Aston Martin, all I hear is horror stories about how they're maintenance intensive. And I hate to be a Toyota fanboy or something like that, but go get a Toyota or Honda and see how many times that you have to really drag it into the shop. Not that much. I have Aston Martins very rarely get off the showroom lot, and they go 5,000 miles without going back 5 times for parts falling off the car. So you think for $250,000 it wouldn't do that, but $250,000 apparently doesn't apply to the quality of the maintenance. So it's all that goes into it. So you want low maintenance stuff versus high gloss stuff. So tomorrow is about high gloss and high glitz, and we're making the extra effort tomorrow to go through that. So the priorities on low maintenance versus high gloss, internal versus public, commercial tool versus internal tool. Those are decisions you're going to make. So Nick, David, he learned quite a bit today. I have to mouse over the Hamburger menu. Need a special function from Once again, as soon as you start requiring plugins, even though I use Monkey Bread quite a bit, Base Elements and 360 Works email. I just try not to put, every time you put a plugin, a requirement, you're taking a gun, you're putting it to someone's head saying, if you don't have this plugin, you can't use our product. And you can't use it most of the time and go anyway. And so it's an unnecessary complication in your life, right? It's like using AppleScript. Don't use AppleScript on a Mac with FileMaker Pro because it doesn't work on Windows. Don't use DDEs and other cute Windows things because they don't transport to Mac. So you want to keep everything as maintenance friendly as possible, as simple as possible, and then only take the extra effort if you have some sort of super glitzy thing. And Nick does the glitz. So we're going to see, tomorrow is the glitz, right? Nick, you're bringing the glitz tomorrow? You're going to tuxedo?
Yes.
You could say I'm Bond, James Bond. Cool. Well, we appreciate all the hard work, Nick. You are awesome. Tomorrow is James Bond Day without the tuxedo. So Nick will be here. Bond or Nick Hunter, Nicholas Hunter, with your last name. How do you pronounce your main last name? Your correct last name? It's Nick. You there? Hello? I think Nick is dead. Or maybe I closed Nick. Did I hang up on Nick? I might have hung up on Nick. My apologies. Anyway, Nick gives his very best, but tomorrow will be a lot of fun. Okay. And then Nathan Schneider says, don't get me started on the relationship table. That's because no one's had a better idea on how to really solve the problem. Every time they come up with an idea to solve the relationship diagram, it always causes other problems that they don't want to get into those problems. So anyway, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be fun. Portal is like a forum, right? Portal. It's the relational line items, Bunny. If you're on a invoice and you see the line items down there in the little box, that's the portal. Portal. Portol. All right, cool. Thanks, everyone. Catch you tomorrow. Thanks.
Guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected, the quarterback. Great read. good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.